Well, I think it speaks to the state of the Liberal Party of Canada that a candidate who is running to become leader of the party, who is running to become prime minister in our country, is finding out that she has been disqualified on air from an email that the media outlet that she is interviewing with has received.
So to me, I feel like she must have known this was a possibility. She must have gone on air at the same time. She knew
she was being investigated.
This was being brought out potentially, because like she seems like she is pissed, but she expected it. That's what I'm getting so far. Yeah. I don't know about you guys.
It is very.
Yeah, I believe that she's upset about it. I just think she knew this was going to happen.
It is certainly not surprising, because I think the Liberal Party of Canada was seeing exactly what our internal polls are telling us, that my campaign and my team, we were neck to neck with a front runner in the.
So which front runner is she talking about? Is she talking about Carney here? Is she? I didn't see any polls where they were neck to neck with Carney. Like maybe Gould and her were pretty even, and I think she was at a point a little bit higher, like maybe near Freeland. But I think Freeland wasn't really. I don't look at Freeland as a. I guess maybe Freeland's a front runner. But none of them were polling very well at all. Like, yeah, they're all like 20 or less, you know, like none of them have over 30 to 40% polling at all.
I shouldn't be trying to read her facial expressions either. That's not really, I am being bad faith a little bit here. I do think this sounds like a little bit of prepared statement, but yeah, I'll admit, you're right, Hurricane.
It's the media. Like, is it really not some kind of performance sometimes? Like, it's.
I just think she knew she was being investigated at the least,
you know, it
right?
Could be for legal reasons. Maybe she got some insider information, but for legal reasons, she had to pretend like she found out on air. Potentially, like she couldn't.
Well, she knew she was being investigated at the least, because she was a part of those. They interviewed her. They gave her a chance to respond to all the criticisms and to defend herself. Two separate committees. They both they all unanimously voted that she had broken the rules.
They did not want me to go on to that debate stage in Montreal. They certainly did not want me on that ballot. And the Liberal Party of Canada wanted to complete the coronation of Mark Carney. All of the allegations that you have mentioned have been, you know.
So apparently, we got someone in the chat saying, according to a post on her Instagram, her polls were showing close with Carney. Yeah, I don't know where she was getting. I didn't see any of those. Like I don't know where they're coming from either. Personally, the ones I saw, it was all Mark Carney in the lead. The one I made fun of a while ago was none of the above was in the lead between Carney, Freeland, and Gould.
Why does Phil think that this is like Jody Wilson-Raybould? I don't think this is anything like that.
No, Jody Wilson-Raybould seems a little bit. That was a much different situation. She was in cabinet. She was in, like, you know, she was.
Yeah, she quit.
Yeah. That
she's based. I respect Jody Wilson-Raybould. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think that she's necessarily at fault here, but at the very least, her team is.
That you have spoken about, they are completely false, they are fabricated, and I will not allow the Liberal Party of Canada, or anyone for that matter, to smear my name or to smear the name of thousands of volunteers in our campaign.
You said you had an opportunity to present to the committee that made this decision today, correct? What did you say to them?
Yes.
What did you say?
You know, on the committee, they had members from the voting committee, from the expense committee. This committee has been kept secret from all of the candidates. The candidates have been asking who are the members of this committee. It wasn't until today, when I actually presented to them via a virtual call, that I was even made aware of who the individuals were. Neither was time taken for anyone to even introduce themselves. But regardless, no matter what we said and what proof was provided that these violations, you know, were not committed, that this was simply false and fabricated breaches that the party is alleging, they still had a predetermined agenda to keep Ruby Dhalla off of the ballot, to keep Ruby Dhalla out of the debate stage, because they did not want anyone challenging the front runner, their blue-eyed boy, Mark Carney.
Okay, you make that allegation. You say you have thousands.
The blue-eyed boy. Okay, now she's pulling out the race card there a little bit. All right, let's keep listening though. Saul's being a little bit condescending, but
I'm sorry, guys.
We'll look past that. It's typical liberal over here. So
yeah,
thousands of people in your volunteers in your organization. I've not seen any polling anywhere that puts you neck and neck with Mark Carney. If anything, he has a commanding lead over even Chrystia Freeland and Karina Gould, who in some form are second and third amongst Liberals and amongst Canadians. I mean, what are you basing this on, that you were the threat to Mr. Carney?
Well, I'm the only one that was the outsider in the race. I am the only candidate that has not been an advisor to the current administration. I am the only candidate that has not served as a minister or a member of parliament. I am the only one that was an outsider that was continuing to challenge the front runner, continuing to challenge.
Carney has never been a minister technically in parliament.
Or a member of parliament.
He was a governor, is the governor of the Bank of Canada. He's like a Tiff Macklin kind of guy. So just as close to a politician as I think a banker gets, but technically I get, like, I feel like you're a public figure, but technically you're not an elected politician, right? You're still a public figure though.
She has been a member of parliament. She was 2004 to 2011.
Let's rewind. Let's make sure we got that.
Because has not served as been an advisor to the outsider in the race.
Mr. Kearney.
Well,
I think she was a minister too, wasn't she?
Stop talking. Let's just listen to what she says again. I want to hear it.
Sorry.
I need to.
Outsider in the race. I am the only candidate that has not been an advisor to the current administration. I am the only candidate that has not served as a minister or a member of parliament. I am the only one.
Okay, so I am the only candidate that has not served as a minister or a member of parliament. All right, Saul, fact checker. Let's see what is it.
She was 2004 to 2011. She was a member of parliament.
So this is making her look real trustworthy, guys. Okay, so let's just rewind that again, because like when I understand and send me
I don't know if unless I'm misunderstanding what she's
on the screen and put it next to her face as we let her say this, because I'm just curious. Let's just rewind that one more time.
Only candidate that has not been an advisor to the current administration. I am the only candidate that has not served as a minister or a member of parliament. I am the only one.
Yeah, she didn't say in this administration. She said just ever left it open. Said she has not advised this administration, meaning she might have advised previous ones. So
she's in Paul Martin's.
That was an outsider that was continuing to challenge the front runner, continuing to challenge and speak out for the establishment, and also bringing forward policies, which I thought were very important to bring our party back to the center, to return our party back into the hands of the membership and the grassroots. And when I talk about these polling numbers, this was and is going to be a preferential ballot where people mark 1, 2, 3, or 4. And even though people may be supporting Mark Carney as their number one choice, they were looking at supporting Ruby Dhalla for their second choice, along with the other thousands of members that.
So I haven't seen any polls that reflect that for Liberal leadership race. I have not seen any of that. It's literally every single one between Carney and Freeland that I've seen. Bayless is off to the side, and Karina Gould in the back, just like no one cares about her. So it's, to me already, like she's kind of lied. Well, not lied. I guess she's lied. She's pulled a Christy Clark here on air already in this interview.
She was the Liberal Party's official opposition critic for Service Canada.
Yeah, well, she did.
She had to step down because
this administration But
she wrongfully terminated one of her kids' caregivers. She said they weren't actually sick, even though they were on medical leave.
Okay.
Our team had signed up, and I think that the Liberal Party must have felt some sort of threat to the establishment, to their coronation that they wanted for their front runner.
Okay, you say you are an outsider. One of the allegations against you is that there was an outsider, as in a non-Canadian citizen, playing a role in your campaign, involved in the direction and support of the campaign and financially contributing to your campaign. Are you aware of a wealthy non-Canadian citizen playing a role in your campaign and donating to your campaign?
First of all, there has been no donations. Again, these are false and fabricated stories that are being made up. We have provided them with all of the information in regards to this, but if the false and fabricated, and fake allegations continue, we have seen that they will say whatever it takes, and they did by having me disqualified in this race so that I would not participate in the debates in Montreal on Monday and Tuesday.
But is there an extremely wealthy non-Canadian citizen supporting your campaign?
No, there is not.
There is nobody from outside the country who's not a Canadian providing any kind of material support, even if it's donations of things, advising you, giving you direction in any way whatsoever. Because this is one of the allegations that I am told you were presented with. You know what I'm talking about here, I assume, Ms. Dhalla, and that was discussed at this committee this afternoon.
Yes, it was. And I can share with you that my candidacy was historic. My candidacy was historic because I was the first woman, of color. I was one of the first women.
This is not answering the question at all.
This is a typical liberal. What is this?
This is, I think this is even worse.
Immigrant community to seek the leadership for the Liberal Party of Canada to become Canada's Prime Minister. And I had thousands of well-wishers across the world who were excited about this movement and this moment for our party and our
front
country.
bench with these.
Were you aware,
weaselly answers.
Do you know if there was a corporation that
Why are foreigners allowed to even donate in our races, in our politics? Like,
it's just hard to keep it from happening.
It just seems so stupid. Like, why would
I don't even know if they are technically allowed.
Like,
was paying money to,
or that you might be allowed, but you have to declare it.
Corporations cannot donate in the political process here. This is another one of the allegations against you.
I don't know. Yeah, see.
The allegations list, there were 12 allegations that they presented, and I can tell you it is again false. Our campaign has not in any way been non-compliant with Elections Canada. We have ensured that we have followed all of the rules of Elections Canada. The Liberal Party has come out. One day it was foreign interference. The next day it's about financial violations. I don't know what story is going to be coming out tomorrow, but I can tell you the fact that they have disqualified me clearly shows they did not want me on that debate stage, and they tried to use any excuse they could to ensure that I would be disqualified.
So this was an investigation, as I understand it, done, for the chief electoral officer, an assessment done. It's on official letterhead from a law firm. This was presented to you. This seems like quite the elaborate thing to do to keep you off the debate stage. I mean, people may look at that explanation and the process here and wonder if it's true. I mean, what do you say to anyone who's skeptical of your claims here?
Well, they took out one candidate from the South Asian community earlier on in the race, and they silenced him because he has not spoken since in regards to why he was let go. And they knew that they would not be able to silence me, and they're trying to do everything they can to cover their tracks. I do know what the truth is. I know that all of the information, was provided with them, and the allegations that they have made. One day it was again on foreign interference from the Modi government, who I haven't spoken to or been in contact with in years. And then today it was in regards to the financial, violations. They're false, they're fabricated, they're fake, and I will not let them smear the name of my campaign or the integrity of our campaign. Well,
as we discussed earlier today, before I knew about this meeting and before we knew about this decision, we did talk about your past support for Narendra Modi. As this evolved throughout the day, that does not appear to be the reason here at all. Like, that could be one political concern they have, but in terms of my understanding of the allegation against you, where there is a foreign interference component here, and I don't know if this is of the 10 violations that the party has concluded, and I don't know if you know at this point in time, but the claim was because
I haven't even received a letter yet. So maybe during this interview I might have received something, but prior to coming on
she
here,
went to the meeting. She had a chance to defend herself. She knows the charges. She has to. She has a chance to defend herself and explain. She'd already done that before she came on here. She's just lying. She has, I
don't know. She's been a real Christy Clark right now. That's what I'm getting from it. That's the vibe I'm getting. I do think that people, I guess, are disappointed because I guess they were hopeful about her. For non-liberals were hopeful about her.
Yeah, I mean, it's
most of her voting
disappointed too.
Don't care. I don't think there's many liberals that were rallying behind her. There might have been people who felt like she was a more centrist approach, which is what the Liberal Party's been missing. Sure, but to me, I haven't heard Mark Carney say one thing about diversity. I haven't talked about DEI stuff at all. I've heard him just talk about boring banking and economic stuff, and Pierre as a politician doesn't have experience. That's what I'm getting from Carney's campaign so far. And I just feel like, to me, I don't think he's really taking some kind of woke stance on anything, which I think is smart. And I think that kind of ideology is going to die with Trudeau's career. I think. Yeah,
I think that was a blip. I think that people got really, really high off their own supply with Obama because he was a once in a generation politician. He was just I do. I think they thought that the mandate was in their favor because Obama was so popular. And then Trudeau won, and there was this wave of left liberal-y guys getting in charge all over the world. And then after that, then Trump and Boris Johnson and what's his face? Javier Milei, whatever, the Argentinian guy, the Brazilian guy, what's his name again? Bolsonaro.
Guys, but anyway,
Bolsonaro.
Let's just we got some more stuff to get through, so we'll start to push forward here.
Breaches from yourself. I have not been informed as to what the decision of the Liberal Party was, and it was actually through, you know, the CBC that I actually heard about the decision of the Liberal Party.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get into the next interview that took
place. Yeah, we were here.
So before,
did you just hear her?
I was just gonna say, I was reading the chat that we're gonna get into that interview where she shows receipts. Apparently, the next.
Okay.
But I'll rewind it because I did not hear what she said exactly.
Yeah, listen.
Coming on air, I just heard about the breaches from yourself. I have not been informed as to what the decision of the Liberal Party was, and it was actually through, you know, the CBC that I actually heard about the decision of the Liberal Party.
Well, look, I'm sorry you had to find out that way.
Yeah, we were here.
We were reaching out to your campaign.
She's telling us that.
As we were getting a sense of where this was going for reaction. But I appreciate that you don't want to react to something until you know.
The Liberal Party would have reached out to me versus the CBC.
Well, yes. So, I mean, you did speak to them today. You did make your case to the committee today. And clearly,
it does seem like a bad play, honestly, this whole thing. Even Cochran's a bad actor and all this. It seems weird. It seems fishy. Even Cochran.
I think she knew.
Started the interview. I got this email, unless they told her before they went on air, and then they're like, "Hey, let's just act like you just found out for more clicks." I don't know. Like,
no,
they're complaining they want more funding, so maybe that's.
Can we Occam's razor this?
They were just.
Can we Occam's razor this? Okay. Can we Occam's razor for this for a second? The most simple explanation would be she knew already, didn't tell the CBC. They start this interview, and then someone in the background finds out, hey, they made a decision today. She's kicked out of the race.
I feel like he would have asked.
And then he got notified.
You know? Like, I feel like he would have asked. Like, I feel like that would have been a question. The fact that wasn't a question, I think is.
He just said you didn't know. He asked her. He did. You can go back. I'm pretty sure he does ask her if she knew already.
But I feel like that would be.
And he says you talked to them today. You had your chance to defend.
Anyways,
didn't convince them, and I know you say this is a large.
So they're all doing a play together.
I think so. Yeah, CBC needs more money. They're just asking for more funding.
Oh, literally. So CBC and Ruby are all in cahoots doing a show
CBC
right
needs
now.
Ruby needs a book and a podcast tour.
The reality TV to protect Mr. Kearney. But what do you do now? My understanding is you can appeal.
Hurricane, if you have a mic or you're on your phone, you're welcome to come to the Discord and chime in if you'd like to after we get through this. Anyone who's, I want to get a phone number on the screen so people can call in and argue with us too. I think it'll be kind of fun. Well, not fun, but I think it'll be constructive as well and as fun.
The Permanent Appeals Committee of the Liberal.
I have a weird idea of what's fun though.
Party, that would be a route that is open to you and anybody.
Oh, Great Dominion coming in clutch again.
Well, I don't believe he did it.
I did eventually get it without seeing your comment, buddy. But you and Justus were talking about you on the phone today and saying that, hey, this guy's always got good things to say in the chat. We appreciate you, buddy.
You, Ms. Dhalla.
I guess I'm going to take some time, first of all, to process what the Liberal Party has stated are the reasons for the breaches, because they have been provided with all of the evidence. If they have a preset, determined agenda, they have the establishment there. Obviously, all of the people that were on the committee are all a part of one team, and they do not want to have anyone challenging the status quo. They do not want to have anyone challenging the front runner in the Liberal leadership race, which I do not understand, because we were in an election, and in an election, it's the talking about progressive ideas. I think it is a sad day today, not only for the Liberal Party, but for democracy, for free speech here in Canada, and also for those that want a progressive policy agenda for immigrants in our country, for people of color, because with my candidacy in the race, we were making history, and it is really unfortunate that the Liberal Party didn't see it as such.
You mentioned,
this is my biggest thing. I never saw those polls where she was making history. That's my biggest thing about the one thing that's sticking out to me a lot, what she's saying. To me, I never really had any. I didn't really care much for her before this. I'm not gonna lie. But
she's playing pretty fast and loose with the facts here, and I think it's not that crazy to think maybe she just knew already, and that she didn't tell CBC, and CBC found out.
Yeah, and I feel
halfway
like,
through the interview or something.
I feel like there are some elements of truth to what she's saying in terms of how the Liberal Party is behaving with Mark Carney and the other candidates. And don't get me wrong, it'll be the second Indo-Canadian candidate that they're going to be expelling from the race. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
yeah, I know, but like, we don't want them to be not making that decision because it looks bad. It's the same as with
No, but it makes them look like not the, like this will do like
yeah, but we don't want them to make a decision because it looks, we don't want them to make the wrong decision because it looks bad.
All I'm saying is that I think everyone had something to lose from this decision. They had been trying to push her out for a bit since the leadership debate was announced. It had to be in French as well, and she wanted a translator. And I feel like they could have been worried about her winning based off just they didn't want a non-French speaking candidate to run against Poilievre because they thought she'd lose. You know what I mean?
Dude, that would have stole.
They really want Quebec's support, right, with this next candidate.
How much of the debate time is going to be wasted translating for Ruby?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing with that per se, and I understand Canada's history and why we do what we do. And why? Because we are built on
She's not serious. Learn French if you're serious. Pierre Poilievre did it. Why can't you do it?
We'll find out. Christy Clark also was trying really hard, apparently, before she went and lied all over the place. So I just feel like this is kind of a similar situation to Christy Clark in that sense. Whereas, but
it's the most powerful position in the country. I
think it gives her kind of an out because the Liberal Party has been behaving a certain way. I think, and when I first saw this, I thought, yeah, no, definitely, they probably just booted her out because they didn't like her. But I want to get more into this. There's supposed to be some receipts being shown, so let's stop interrupting and stop jumping to conclusions.
Yeah.
All the facts here, because Saul's just jumping to conclusions here.
Well, I read a bunch of stuff about this. I have an opinion on it already.
Fine. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions then.
South Asian heritage of both you and Mr. Chandra area, who were disqualified. You keep coming back to this. Do you believe race played a role in this? Because that seems to be a component of what you're saying here.
Here, I'll be right back. I'm listening.
That would be a good question for the Liberal Party because the fact.
Well, I think they might have accepted her candidacy because they wanted the money, right? There's a lot of money per candidate. I feel like that was their way of just scraping some campaign funds together.
That they've disqualified 2 people from immigrant communities, both from the South Asian community. I think the Liberal Party would probably be best suited to answer that question.
But what do you believe? I mean, you have mentioned this. I assume you must have mentioned this in your direct appeal to the I believe it's 12 people who were meeting today to decide on this. I mean, what is your view on this as the person who has been disqualified from the race today?
I think it's a targeted attack against all immigrants in Canada. The fact that they do not want to have people from immigrant communities represented for top leadership roles. It's okay, to get involved as a member of parliament or an MPP, but they do not want to have someone from an ethnic community running for the top position in Canada.
Well, Frank Bayless
You're pulling the race card. You're pulling the race card here. Come on.
Black. He's of mixed race heritage. I mean, he is certainly not. He has not been disqualified.
So the Liberal Party's racist now, guys. That's what she's saying. There might be some of them. Might be. I don't know. I don't know them personally.
Unless there's something else I don't know about. But maybe
he'll find out from CBC News as well.
Well, I mean, Anita Anand had bowed out, but she would certainly have been allowed to run in this race. I believe. We have seen people from South Asian communities.
I was allowed to run as well.
Right.
So the party at the end of the day.
So Hurricane, we're gonna, if you want to jump in here and maybe share a few points, just jump in the waiting room in the voice channels, and I can pull you into the live stream channel.
The fact of who they have disqualified, it speaks for itself in terms of their decisions. I've been involved with the party since the age of 14. The party, during my time was always inclusive. It was not a small cabal of individuals that were making decisions, but we are seeing and have seen that the party does not want to have anyone questioning the establishment, going against the status quo of the establishment. That's why it is really important, for my team to know that this type of decision by the Liberal Party will not silence the thousands of Liberals across the country who wanted change.
Okay, this is a final point, Ms. Dhalla. They say there are 10 violations, and it was unanimous. We're talking double-digit violations and unanimity in a committee. That seems, those are both, that's critical.
Okay, we'll pull you in a sec, Hurricane.
Mass in multiple directions here to come to this decision. But you just deny that even unwittingly you may have violated financial rules?
I, said to them, I was very humble in my conversation, with the committee. If I have made any violations, please let me know. We will have them fixed. There is nothing that my auditors or my accounting team that had seen that was glaring. We provided supporting documentation, for everything. Nothing has been filed to date with Elections Canada other than, the list of donors, and that we were there to ensure that we were compliant and that we had, our financial paperwork in order to ensure that compliance. But the party refused to listen because they had a preset agenda. Everything was fine with Ruby Dhalla being in the race until Ruby Dhalla started picking up momentum and speed. Right. And this disqualification, I believe, is an attempt to have that silence, to have that momentum quieted so that they can complete the coronation for their front runner.
Well, it also came, though, when the filings had to be submitted to Elections Canada, and the look at the money trail began, and they started to assess the validity of donations, and these are financial violations. So the timeline is, with the financial reporting to Elections Canada and then that assessment, here we are today. I mean, people may look at it and say, well, this is the problem. These truly are financial violations, and this is why Ruby Dhalla has been disqualified, not an attempt.
The violations have nothing to do, and I have issued tweets on this, the violations that we were expressed with in regards to our donors had nothing to do with our campaign. If a couple chooses to use a credit card for a joint bank account that they have, then that is their choice. Our people certainly haven't asked individuals to use a selective credit card. That is a choice of a donor. The donor then had to do an attestation. It was an administrative point on behalf of the donor that had to be done. It had nothing to do with our campaign.